All right. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And today's video, we are going to do two very brief gear set reviews. Number one, we are going to go over the monster set, the Euphotic Gatekeeper, which is arguably one of the best names for monster sets in the game. In the game, and it also has one of the best animations in the game. However, animations and names don't really matter much for PvP. We're going to check to see how viable it actually is. So we're going to put it on. Oh man, look at that. Dude, we got friggin' fish face. Here we go. So this is what it looks like. It's so ugly. Dare I say I kind of like it. I don't know why. I mean, it's pretty bad looking. But yeah, this is not a pretty set, but the set is as described. When you use roll dodge, create a Hadalid husk after you roll. Within 5 meters of the Hadalid husk, it will absorb all direct damage attacks against you. After 1 second, it explodes, dealing 5,500 poison damage to all enemies within 5 meters. This can happen once every 20 seconds. So it's kind of like Old Ball of Lightning, and that was the animation. So it reminded me of like Old Ball of Lightning, where when you'd streak, the ball would pop up and it would absorb all projectiles. This is just like that, except it doesn't last as long. And so 1 second, 1 second is not a very long time. You can ask your girlfriend, you can ask your wife. If you ask them if 1 second's a long time, they're gonna give you a look, and for good reason. And so it is a very cool animation. It's got a long cooldown, and what it's trying to provide is extremely powerful. There's a reason Old Ball of Lightning got nerfed back in the day. It's because it was mitigating a ton of damage. And so it's tough for this to be balanced. It really is. And so it's understandable that this happened. When I was first looking at it, I was comparing it. I was trying to think of other sets that kind of have a 1 second cooldown and where they're at. And the first one that I thought of is the mythic that came out this last patch, Left-Hander's Girdle. Where when you dodge roll, you would get a 20k damage shield for 1 second. And although it's a 20k damage shield, which is very large and, you know, it functions off a dodge roll, making you very tanky, the issue with it is it only lasts 1 second. Like 1 second of a 20k damage shield is just not enough. Just like 1 second of avoiding a ton of incoming damage is also not enough, in my opinion. So it's just one of those sets where it's like, cool idea, got a cool fish face, got a cool name, it's got a great animation. I mean, there's some things that animation wise are not good this patch, but that's awesome. Like you get this like fish warrior to come out of the ground to like protect you. That's awesome. I don't know why, but like everything about this set is so cool except for the actual functionality, in my opinion. I don't see this being very good. I could be wrong. The proc damage isn't a lot, and you know, it's better that way. 5 seconds of the 20-second cooldown is a very long time. You know, if this is a 5k proc set with a 5-second cooldown, it's different, you know, but 20-second cooldown, a bit long. 1 second duration is a bit short. And so yeah, those two combinations make it, in my opinion, not very good for PvP. Now, the other thing is you have to look at it as, what are you going to replace this with? Like, what classes are going to run this, right? Well, the first thing you think of is like Stamina Nightblade. Well, what are Stamina Nightblades running? They're running Magma Incarnate. They're running Balorg. So this has to be a competitive, a set that can compete with those two sets. And so it just doesn't cut it. Those two sets, in my opinion, are just a little bit stronger. This is only really going to be good for if it was buffed. What I would say is, and I could be wrong, like this is going to have to take some testing and tweaking. Like I have not tested this in an outnumbered 1vx scenario because that doesn't exist on the PTS. But I think adjustments that I would do to try to make this good is increase the duration of stuff that it blocks to like 1.5 seconds, maybe 2 seconds, somewhere around there. Make it a little bit longer of blocking incoming stuff. And then put the cooldown of the set to like 10 seconds. So if you're getting this every 10 seconds, then I think it makes it a lot better. Or like 7 seconds. I know that seems like a short duration, but it's only a 2 second damage shield. So it's one of those things where you're just gonna have to kind of tweak it and make improvements. And I feel like this is just one of those sets you can't really make good improvements until it goes live. And so I would say at least increase the duration a little bit. and then lower the cooldown, and then that will get you at a good spot. But in order for it to be really truly competitive, you really have to have your finger on the pulse during the actual patch with the community and know kind of like what people are saying about it, like, oh yeah, you know, it's still not enough, it's not competing with magma, like, because this is just it's tough to quantify what this is giving, right? Like it's tough to quantify how valuable blocking all incoming projectiles for 1 or 1.5 seconds is. So yeah, I know already this won't cut it. I will not be farming it myself, but maybe you guys will. Maybe you guys want to see this cool animation. I don't blame you. Like I said, I thought it was pretty sick. In the second set, we are testing out Grave Inevitability, which is the crit set, guys. This is the set that after 5 consecutive light attacks, you get major force, and then the circle pops up and everybody in that circle around you, I think it said allies if I remember correctly. I'll provide that's actually right here. All allies. It doesn't say group members, it says allies. So in PvP, anybody in a group will have access to minor force if you're running this set. And the thing with it is there's no cooldown. Once you get your 5 light attacks, you can have this up as long as you're light attack weaving. And so you can keep this duration up on any sort of build that, you know, you're light attack weaving a lot on, which is, you know, you can do it with anything. You can literally run this set on anything. And yeah, having that ability to have major force for yourself with potentially 100% uptime and then have minor force for your allies is extremely valuable. Like minor force is a lot. 10% more crit damage is a lot. That's why there's a difference in crit damage between like Templars and Nightblades and other classes, because 10% is a lot. But yeah, having major force is a very strong set. And I remember, you know, there was a time where the set where major force was one of those buffs that was hard to come across. And they really nuked critical damage and everything, and because crits were valuable, and now they're just buffing the crap out of modifiers. And so, and now, you know, with the introduction of Oaken Soul, where we have 100% uptime, the current one, I know it's getting adjusted, but with the current Oaken Soul having 100% uptime on major force, they're like, hey, you know, why don't we just slap it on a 5-piece set? So the downsides to it are, I was testing snipe on something else, guys. This is not really a real build. I got D-swing on a Nightblade. I was testing a bunch of things. And so, yeah, I was just testing it. And yeah, basically what I had found was this set's going to be really powerful, I think, for casters. Like, casters are going to be able to utilize this really well, like Destro, Resto builds, Frost Staff, Inferno Staff builds. Like, if you're light attack weaving on your front and back bar a lot, having access to major force all the time is going to be extremely valuable. Having that ranged ability to land light attacks is going to be a lot more valuable than melee. I was testing this dueling my buddy Blap, and there was just times, you know, as a melee class where, you know, if you're fighting somebody that's kind of bursty, or with a lot of pressure and a lot of stand your ground accessibility like Blap has with the DK, sometimes you have to back up, right? Like, you got to back up, you got to reset the fight, you got to come back in, and then, yeah, your buff is going to drop. But you don't have to do that on classes like a Sork, or, you know, I know it's been bad for a while, but I was like, man, can Major Force make ranged Nightblade a thing again? Like that, I don't know if it can, like, but it's the type of buff that potentially. And so I don't want to, I know some Nightblade's gonna hop on here like, nope, not gonna cut it. I understand, guys, but I'm just telling you what crossed my mind. Like, I've seen Oaken Soul Magblades do a ton of damage with Major Force and Major Berserk, and it's just one of those things that cross your mind where it's like, okay, well, maybe this is good enough to do that. It can be front or back barred. The duration lasts for 5 seconds. You just need to make sure you're weaving and landing light attacks every 5 seconds to keep your stacks up. So if you do not keep your stacks up every 5 seconds, it will drop. And so if you're not very good with light attack weaving, this is one of those sets you probably want to double bar. And at that point, it's not nearly as valuable, I think, for PvPers, because, you know, with mythics, front bar, back bar, mythic monster set is typically the go-to. I'm not saying it has to be that way. I run plenty of setups without it being that way. Just depends on what the strength of the set is. And so you'll have to test it for yourself and see what you like. But in my opinion, this is one of the stronger sets to come out this patch in general. That's not I don't know if this is broken yet. Like, this is extremely powerful. This is definitely one of the strongest 5-piece sets in the game. I'm not saying that it's not, because it clearly is. It's just one of those things where it's like, how useful will it actually be in PvP if, you know, for outnumbered situations, you really need to have it on double bars. And if you have to have it on both bars, you have to give up something else. And so is the major force buff worth it in that situation? I'm not sure. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. If you guys have any questions or comments, please provide it in the section below. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.